everybody, we are back with another of these song breakdowns, kind of showing you what it looks like behind the scenes in the Logic file. Today, we're going to be doing I Am Neon, which is probably one of my faves on the album. Hopefully, it's one of your faves as well. Let's just jump into it because honestly, there's a ton to talk about when we're talking about I Am Neon. The big thing when it comes to this is obviously a lot of the time with me, the beat came first, and you can see this one's a little bit like there's less pieces, but they're really kind of all over the place. So I don't know if you ever really get to hear the beat by itself, but the beat itself is really cool. It's got one kick. It's got five. Wait, well, how many of that? So it's got it's got two different snares. It's got a shaker and then two hi-hats. So the beat was made to be kind of on the funky side. So let's just give it a listen real quick. I really like that, the shaker, the ding, ding, ding. I really like that. I think it really adds an additional flair to the beat when it's there. Now you'll notice that it's not there during the verse. So I take it out during the verses, and obviously it's not there during the majority of the bridge. It's kind of just there at the end with that big area. What I ended up doing a lot of it with a lot of the shaker was I ended up using it as an accent to one of the hats. So it really just kind of added a little bit of additional kind of oomph to the hats itself. So that was where the song began. And then like usual, I had to come up with a cool bass line. And this one was one of those bass lines that I was like really trying to get just right. And it's not that difficult, but it is, trying to make it a little funky. Now, that actually isn't it. That's an actual mistake. If you listen to the tail end of this bass hit right here, that that actually, I believe that's a little bit of fret buzz. But when I was playing it back on that take, I was like, man, I got to do another take. But it just sounded so cool. So I ended up leaving it in. And I think that it actually kind of mixes with the beat and the keys and all that stuff. I think it mixes really, really well in there. So I ended up just leaving it. The verse and the, intro and the verse is, on the funky side. But then when you get to the pre-chorus, it becomes a little bit more of the do-do-do-do-do-do, that sort of thing. So that's basically where that goes. And that's what I'm saying is like the bass line for this one is also not very on the complicated side, but really funky. The trick here was to really come up with something that accentuates the beat and makes it really stand out. Now, if we look at the keys here, it starts basically after the first part of the beat. It comes in, and if you want to hear that. So that's part of what I use to kind of accentuate the beat. So if you're listening to the beat, so you can't deny that sounds fucking dope. Excuse the language. And then of course during the pre-chorus, I have that riser that I have here. It's called encoded transmission, but it's like a, Now, and also if you're noticing here that it actually pans, when you're listening to it, it's obvious, but it pans from side to side. But you'll notice over here, the panning here, you'll see it's going over to the other side. That's just something that you can do with, automation pretty easily. This buzzing bells is one of those little pieces of ear candy that I throw in. I believe it's only in the song I believe it's just two, three times. And that's all that it's in there. And it's in there strategically. So if you listen, and that's it. That's all it does. And then the funky time. So, okay. So then during the bridge, we have the K machine looper. To listen to that without the beat. So that's the same as the machine looper over here, but it's not the long drawn out notes, but it's more staccato to fit with the bridge beat that's there. And then the do 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 do, kind of building back in. We get back to the machine, and then here at the end we add in one more of these. So listen to this. So this was something cool, right? It adds kind of like a weird kind of like haunting kind of feel to the end. But again, when you're getting to that final chorus of a song, you need something to make it bigger, to make it feel more. And I kind of just went for broke on this one. This one not only has the additional keys, but then also has the additional vocals as well. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But the idea of adding this low kind, instead of going with a high synth or going with like a high thing, I went with a low, and I think it added like a little bit of a hauntiness to the song, which if you went and watched the lyrical breakdown, is very fitting for this kind of song. So all together with the keys there. And then with the beat. So anyway, I mean, you get the point, right? It all kind of really fits together very well. So let's get to the guitar portions, because the guitar on this are actually pretty simple. It's a little bit on the simple side, because the guitar is not the star of this song. Kind of the beat and the bass are, even though the bass itself is also kind of on the simple side. But the guitar, I really was trying to use the guitar a little bit sparingly. I was mostly just trying to use it for effect. So if you listen. So, I mean, and that just repeats 3 times during the first part of the song. So it's not even, again, it's not super complicated. And in the case with this one is that I didn't want the sound to differentiate too much here for this lead guitar. So I did leave both sides, both guitars on both sides the same. So, there's no different tone kind of adding to it or whatnot. Now, of course, what I did with the chorus guitar is just there. It's power chords. That's all it is. And it's there to make the song bigger during the chorus. And you'll see what else I added to the chorus, because the chorus is huge. That's why this song is one of my faves, is because the verse is just basically me and the bass and the beat and like a little bit of guitar, but then the chorus is 2 guitars and extra synths and me again and me again, so that's kind of what it is. But if you listen to the chorus guitar, like it just let's listen to the lead guitar during the chorus. So that's what it sounds like. But to accentuate that, I added in an additional, so, the lead guitar is on the high end. So I have the chorus guitar coming in low. Now, and if we wanted to hear the differences of the different sides, So that one almost sounds like it's kind of radio staticky kind of sound, whereas this one more classic kind of reverb and distortion and stuff. So, but together, it almost creates kind of a standard guitar sound, but with a little bit of like radio staticky, echoey on it. Again, that's something that I like to do. I like to put two different, sometimes desperately different guitar tones side by side, smash them together and see what comes out. And sometimes I get some amazing guitar sounds when I'm doing these songs. So if we go to the pre-chorus guitar is actually pretty simple. I believe that it is the same as the lead guitar, but it's slightly louder and it fades a little bit. I mean, and that's it. So that's just during the pre-chorus, and it just happens a couple of times. One thing that was fun when I was putting the song together, and I was trying to figure out this extended pre-chorus because before I just had this encoded in transmission once. But I didn't want it to just repeat the same thing again because it goes, so I actually, if we wanted to like open up the crawl here of this one, is I ended up actually making this one, an octave lower to then also go up. This is what it normally is. So I made this one an octave lower. So it really does start low and then continue to go high. And I think it's a cool effect. You'll also notice that I'm using a chord there and not just a single note, which you'll get different effects based on if you do a chord versus a single. And I think that it really worked well with the combining of the different sounds to make the chord instead of just a single one. You don't really know because I'm the one who was doing it on the back end, but I trust me, it's better. So yeah, so now let's go talk about the vocals a little bit here because the vocals are a lot of fun. This was one of the things that I think I most enjoyed working on was the lyrics for this one and really kind of getting the song kind of to get expressed the right way. Now, the reason why I say it that way is because when I wrote the song, I just wrote a bunch of lyrics down on a piece of paper and I had a beat and I had stuff and I was like, all right, let me see how many of these words I can fit on here. So like the first few takes were literally me just kind of like seeing how many words I could fit. And then that's where the melody came from, was me trying to just make stuff fit. And I think it really worked well. So if we look at this stuff, the main vox here, I am neon, bright and buzzing in the night. Watch me glow to find your faults and bring them to light. So you'll notice here, there's actually not that much of a difference here between these two effects. This was just on the low end, so I made it a little bit louder. And then the main vox and the pre-chorus, I ended up just using the same vocals for them, so the same effects and whatnot. And that's like it's like a delay and a little and some reverb and whatnot. So just for effect, one of the things too is that I used to have a higher voice kind of behind, and I took it out. I ended up adding it back into the chorus, but I did remove it from the verse. I felt like it took away from like the focus of the verse. And honestly, it allowed me to make the chorus even just that much bigger with it having additional voices that the verse doesn't have. There you go. And then of course we have the looks easy, huh? Come on. I had a few different takes of that. I had one that was like, I sure do make this look easy, don't I? Or, something like that. And I ended up going with looks easy, huh? So I think that worked out really well. If we look at the chorus vox, though, again, like I said here, I not only have my vocals for the chorus itself. Then I have an effect that's centered on the vocals, as well as high vocals. So if you wanted to hear just my vocals,
follow me, gonna save the world with this song. Burn your tongue, cause I am neon, I am neon.
So that's that. And obviously the effect is that I'm singing it like, I am neon, because the idea is that I'm going to layer on a higher one as well. So if you want to hear the higher one,
follow me, gonna save the world with this song. Burn your tongue, cause I am neon, I am neon.
So I might have been able to, I should have brought Leilani in on this one, to be quite honest. I think she could have harmonized with me pretty good. But if you take those together, plus I have this centered effect here,
follow me, gonna save the world with this song,
which is, if I believe, it's a little bit of a vocoder mixed with a little bit of a harmony effect. So it just adds almost kind of like there's this crowd behind you singing along with you. So all together, and again, it's, very seldom you'll be able to hear it without the beat going at the same time, but all together,
follow me, gonna save the world with this song. Burn your tongue, cause I am neon, I am neon.
Now the high pitch, the higher vocals, if you notice, I do have them a little bit under, because they really are just there to accent, and you hear them kind of peek through here and there, but they aren't the star. They're not supposed to be the star. They're just there to add to the kind of the chorusy effect. And when I say chorus in this case, I mean, multiple people singing at one time. It looks like here I also have the backing. So let's go see what that is. Okay, so the backing, oh yes. So the backing was one of the really cool parts that I did. What I ended up doing was I took my voice and I just sang, I am neon. And I ended up adding in like some, I just heavily just roboticized it and just made it feel really kind of gritty as well. But I really like this. You hear it go neon because there's a little bit of a stutter effect in there as well. I mean, if you wanted to hear what I'm singing there without that, I sound like this.
I am neon.
Well, I guess I could actually take off the whole thing.
I am neon. I am neon. I am neon.
So it's the cool stuff you can do with computers nowadays. and that obviously extends then to the chorus ender, which is what this whole last part is I had, the left and the right channels for this, the last part of the chorus being like a really heavily stuttered, and then obviously the echo at the end of it. So if we, solo that, and actually let's solo this last part of the backing too, because I like that. If we hit play on that.
Follow me, gonna sing the world with a song. Burn your tongue, cause I am neon, I am neon.
That took me like 45 minutes to do. Was to get everything just really set up correctly. Like when I came up with the song, I knew exactly that's how that song was going to end. I knew I was going to end it with a weird, robotic voice. And, it was my first time doing something like that. So it was really a lot of fun to do. Now, here's an interesting thing with arrangement. I didn't really talk about arrangement a lot in the other songs. So I have the intro, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, verse, pre-chorus, chorus. Now, when we get to the last bridge, or say the solo bridge, right? I did at one time have a whole extra, after I say come on, I had a whole extra, I think it was 8 bars of just jamming, right? But when it came to it in the end, I went ahead and cut that out so that it could get right into the guitar solo. Otherwise, it was just I don't know, it was just jamming and it wasn't really adding anything to the song. So I did end up switching that a little bit. I'm a big fan of the song. I think I've said that a few times. I Am Neon is probably my favorite. It might even be my favorite on the album, mostly just because I feel like it came spontaneously to me. Some of the other ones I had to work really hard to like make it happen. And in this one, came up with a theme, worked around it, wrote down a bunch of stuff, and then just made it work. And I feel like it does work pretty well. Hopefully, you enjoyed kind of breaking down I Am Neon. Let me know if you did. I always love to hear from you all. Until next time, keep jamming.
Follow me, gonna save the world with this song. Burn your tongue, cause I am neon. I am neon. Shadow me, see the radiance, it dissolves. Once you look inside, I am neon.